With barely $3,000 hidden in an account her violent boyfriend knows nothing about, Maya Okafor is desperately planning her escape until a mysterious Korean man named Park Jiwon walks into her life. He notices the marks, understands what they mean, and extends an unexpected lifeline. But Jiwon isn't just a concerned stranger. He's lethal, influential, and carries shadows of his own. When Maya's world shatters and death comes knocking, Jiwon stands between her and destruction. And somewhere in that protection, everything changes. Can Maya trust this enigmatic man who promises sanctuary, or is he simply another predator wearing a different mask? "You belong to me now," he tells her. And somehow, she starts believing it's true. The foundation wouldn't cover it anymore. Maya Okafor pressed the beauty blender harder against the purple spreading across her cheekbone, studying her reflection in the restaurant's restroom mirror. The harsh lighting showed everything, every mark her boyfriend Chidi had branded into her flesh the previous evening. "It's okay," she murmured to her reflection, the deception tasting like ash. "Just 4 more weeks. Get enough saved, then disappear." For more weeks. She'd been chanting this mantra for half a year. At 25, Maya should have been thriving in Seoul, teaching conversational English, experiencing a fascinating culture, creating something meaningful. Instead, she was imprisoned. Chidi had appeared charming when they'd connected at the international meetup spot. Attentive, passionate. She hadn't spotted the warning signs until escape became impossible. Now, she juggled exhausting shifts at this round-the-clock restaurant in Itaewon, concealing injuries and depositing every spare coin into an account Chidi couldn't access. $3,000. She needed $5,000 to vanish properly, security deposit somewhere safe, emergency flight if necessary, enough to become invisible before he tracked her down. But tonight, everything was about to change. Tonight, a man in an immaculate charcoal suit would walk through those diner doors. A man who would see what everyone else pretended not to notice. A man who would make her an offer that would sound absolutely insane. 10 million won to stay. Not to run. To stay. With him. And Maya, battered, desperate, exhausted Maya, would have to decide which dangerous man to trust with her life. This is how it started. With barely $3,000 hidden in an account her violent boyfriend knows nothing about, Maya Okafor is desperately planning her escape until a mysterious Korean man named Park Jiwon walks into her life. He notices the marks, understands what they mean, and extends an unexpected lifeline. But Jiwon isn't just a concerned stranger. He's lethal, influential, and carries shadows of his own. When Maya's world shatters and death comes knocking, Jiwon stands between her and destruction. And somewhere in that protection, everything changes. Can Maya trust this enigmatic man who promises sanctuary, or is he simply another predator wearing a different mask? "You belong to me now," he tells her. And somehow, she starts believing it's true. The foundation wouldn't cover it anymore. Maya Okafor pressed the beauty blender harder against the purple spreading across her cheekbone, studying her reflection in the restaurant's restroom mirror. The harsh lighting showed everything, every mark her boyfriend Chidi had branded into her flesh the previous evening. "It's okay," she murmured to her reflection, the deception tasting like ash. "Just 4 more weeks. Get enough saved, then disappear." For more weeks. She'd been chanting this mantra for half a year. At 25, Maya should have been thriving in Seoul, teaching conversational English, experiencing a fascinating culture, creating something meaningful. Instead, she was imprisoned. Chidi had appeared charming when they'd connected at the international meetup spot. Attentive, passionate. She hadn't spotted the warning signs until escape became impossible. Now, she juggled exhausting shifts at this round-the-clock restaurant in Itaewon, concealing injuries and depositing every spare coin into an account Chidi couldn't access. $3,000. She needed $5,000 to vanish properly, security deposit somewhere safe, emergency flight if necessary, enough to become invisible before he tracked her down. "Maya, table 12 is waiting," her supervisor called out. She inhaled deeply, manufactured her service industry expression, and stepped back onto the floor. Table 12 held one patron, a Korean gentleman in an immaculate charcoal suit, appearing completely misplaced in this weathered establishment. Mid to late 30s, angular features, penetrating eyes that absorbed everything. He studied something on his device, barely acknowledging her approach. "What would you like?" Maya asked, pen poised. "Coffee, nothing added." His English flowed perfectly, almost no accent detectable. Then his gaze lifted to her face and time froze. His features barely shifted, just a slight narrowing of focus, a subtle tension in his expression. But Maya experienced the atmospheric change like electricity. "That's quite substantial damage," he commented softly. "I'm accident-prone," Maya responded reflexively. The fabrication she'd mastered. Walked straight into an open cupboard. "Did you?" It wasn't truly a question. His attention moved to her wrist where fabric had shifted upward, exposing grip-shaped discoloration. "You must be extraordinarily clumsy." Maya yanked her sleeve down frantically. "I'll bring your coffee." She retreated to the kitchen, pulse hammering. Most patrons either overlooked it or deliberately ignored it. This gentleman had examined her like he was documenting every wound, every fabrication. When she delivered his order, he maintained that concentrated, disturbing focus. "Sit down," he stated. "I'm on shift." Sit. Not threatening, but absolute. The vocal quality that anticipated compliance. Against every instinct, Maya scanned the area. The establishment was dead at 2 in the morning. Just one other occupied table. She slipped into the booth opposite him. "What's your name?" he inquired. "Maya." "Maya. I'm Park Jiwon." He sampled his coffee, continuing his facial study. "How long?" "How long what?" "How long has someone been brutalizing you?" Maya's breathing stuttered. "I don't understand." "Don't." His tone stayed gentle but cutting. "I've witnessed enough brutality to recognize the indicators. That damage is recent, less than a day old. The marks on your wrist are older, perhaps 3 days. You're wearing long sleeves during warm weather to conceal more. And your reaction when I commanded you to sit." He shifted forward. "So I'm asking again. How long?" Moisture stung Maya's eyes. 8 months. "And you remain with him?" "I'm accumulating funds to leave. I just need slightly more time." "Time?" Jiwon's laugh carried bitterness. "Men like whoever's responsible don't offer time. They intensify. Today it's bruises. Tomorrow he left it hanging. He didn't need to complete it." "I'm managing it," Maya insisted, though her voice wavered. "Are you?" Jiwon extracted a business card, sliding it across the surface. "Premium cardstock, clean design, simply a name and number. When you're finished managing a loan, contact me." "Why would you assist me? You don't even know me." Something shadowed crossed Jiwon's expression. "Let's simply say I have history with men who brutalize women, and I possess means to ensure they stop permanently." Before Maya could answer, he rose, dropped a 50,001 note on the table, far excessive for one coffee, and departed. Maya stared at the business card, fingers shaking. She should discard it. This stranger, this intense gentleman radiating peril, involving herself with him would be reckless. But she tucked the card into her pocket regardless. 3 days afterward, everything collapsed. Maya's shift concluded at midnight. She was drained, feet throbbing, body aching from the assault Chidi had delivered 2 evenings prior because his meal wasn't prepared when he arrived home. She was heading toward the bus terminal when she detected footsteps pursuing her. "Maya." She immobilized. That wasn't Chidi's voice. She pivoted to discover 5 men, all Korean, all dressed in similar dark clothing, all observing her with hunting interest. "You don't recognize us," the leader announced in Korean-inflected English. "But we recognize you. Chidi's woman. He owes our employer money. Substantial money." Panic flooded Maya's system. "I don't know anything about Chidi's obligations. Don't matter. He's not settling, so we collect what he values." The man smiled with pure malevolence. "He claims you're worth at least 10 million won on the appropriate market. We're going to verify if he's accurate." They advanced. Maya retreated, her consciousness screaming. She was going to perish. Or something worse. All because Chidi had entangled himself with loan sharks or criminal organizations or... A sleek obsidian vehicle stopped at the street edge so abruptly it forced the men backward. The driver's entrance opened and Park Jiwon emerged. He appeared transformed from the restaurant, still wearing an expensive suit, but now something dangerous emanated from his bearing, something deadly in his gaze. "Gentlemen," he stated calmly in Korean, then transitioned to English. "You're in my district. Explain your presence." The leader recovered swiftly. "This doesn't involve you. You're threatening a woman under my protection." "That involves me substantially." "Your protection? Since when?" "Since this moment." Jiwon's voice descended, becoming something frigid and lethal. "Depart. Don't return. And inform whoever dispatched you that Chidi's obligations are now settled by me. The woman is untouchable." The men exchanged looks, clearly calculating. Whatever they perceived in Jiwon's face convinced them the confrontation wasn't worth pursuing. "Acceptable, but Chidi still owes. Chidi is about to face considerably larger problems than debt," Jiwon interrupted. "Leave." They departed quickly. Jiwon turned to Maya and his expression softened marginally. "Enter the vehicle." "I can't, Maya." He spoke her name like both command and request. "Enter the vehicle. Please." She entered the vehicle. Jiwon's penthouse occupied one of Seoul's most exclusive towers, the type with uniformed doormen, private elevator access, and security appearing military-trained. Maya stood in the expansive living area, absorbing the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the metropolis, the minimalist yet costly furnishings, the atmosphere of wealth and authority saturating every element. "Sit," Jiwon stated, gentler now. "I'm summoning a physician." "I'm all right." "You're not all right." "Sit." The physician arrived within 20 minutes. A middle-aged woman who assessed Maya's injuries with professional efficiency and evident worry. "No fractures," she reported to Jiwon in Korean, then switched to English for Maya. "But you have extensive bruising, both recent and old. You require rest and appropriate care." After the physician departed, Maya attempted to rise. "I should return home." "Home?" Jiwon's voice sharpened. "Home to the man responsible for this? Home to the apartment those men now have located? Are you insane? I can't simply stay here." "Yes, you can. You will." He poured himself whiskey, consumed it in one motion. "You're remaining here tonight. Tomorrow, we'll determine next steps. But presently, you're secure. Accept that." Maya sank back down, exhaustion overwhelming her. "Who are you? Truly?" Jiwon remained silent for an extended moment. "Then, let's simply say I'm a businessman with unconventional approaches. I have influence in this city, resources, people indebted to me, and people who fear me. And presently, all of that is at your disposal." "Why?" "Because everyone deserves to feel secure," he said quietly. "And because I've witnessed what occurs when nobody intervenes. I won't permit that again. Not under my watch. Not in my city." That evening, Maya slept in a guest chamber more luxurious than any accommodation she'd ever experienced. And through the walls, she heard Jiwon make a telephone call in Korean, his voice frigid and commanding. "Locate Chidi. Locate the 5 men who threatened her. I want locations by sunrise. This is personal." Maya woke to sunlight and coffee aroma. She found Jiwon on the balcony, impeccably dressed despite the early hour, gazing out at the city with an espresso cup. "Good morning," he stated without turning. "There's coffee inside. Help yourself." Maya poured a cup, her hands still trembling. "What happens now?" "Now you're safe permanently." "What does that mean?" Jiwon finally turned to face her. His expression was composed, but something final resided in his eyes. "Chidi and the 5 men who threatened you last evening are gone." Maya's blood turned to ice. "Gone? You mean?" "I mean they're no longer in Seoul. Chidi has been relocated to a distant province with extremely clear instructions. Never return to the city. Never contact you. Never speak your name. If he violates any condition, the consequences will be severe." The 5 men received similar arrangements. "They won't trouble you again." "You accomplished all that overnight?" "I told you. I have resources." He sipped his espresso. "And I meant my words. This was personal." "Why is it personal?" "You don't know me." Something painful flickered across Jiwon's face. I had a sister younger than me. Gentle, compassionate, everything pure in a world that's mostly darkness. She met a man. He appeared decent. He wasn't. By the time we realized what was happening, it was too late. He murdered her. Maya's hand covered her mouth. Oh God. I was constructing my empire then, too focused on power and wealth to notice she needed help. By the time I understood, she was gone. His jaw tightened. I couldn't save her. But I can save you. And I will, whether you desire me to or not. That's not your decision to make, is it? Jiwon moved closer, his presence overwhelming. You were being beaten. You were being threatened by loan sharks. You were one catastrophic evening away from disappearing into a trafficking network. I stopped that. I eliminated the threats. I provided safety. You're welcome. I didn't request your help. Nobody ever does. But you required it. And I provided it. Now you have a choice. He extracted a thick envelope, placed it on the surface. There's 10 million won inside. Enough to restart. New apartment, new employment, whatever you require. Take it and go. Construct your life. I'll ensure nobody bothers you. Or remain here with me. Let me protect you properly. He struggled with the words. Let me show you what safety truly feels like. That's insane. I barely know you. You know I'm dangerous. You know I'm powerful. You know I keep my word. His dark eyes held hers. And you know you felt safer in my vehicle last evening than you have in months. Perhaps years. That's sufficient to begin with. Maya stared at the envelope, then at Jiwon, her mind spinning. She should take the money and flee. This man was dangerous. He'd just made 6 men disappear overnight. He was a criminal, probably organized crime, definitely someone she should avoid. But he'd also rescued her life, provided safety, treated her injuries, made her feel for the first time in 8 months like someone actually cared whether she lived or died. If I stay, she said slowly. What does that mean? It means you live here in safety and comfort. I protect you. I provide for you. In exchange, he paused. In exchange, you give me time. Time to prove this isn't trauma bonding or gratitude. Time to see if what I feel, he caught himself. Time to see if this is genuine. What do you feel? Maya's heart raced. What do you feel? Like perhaps saving you is also saving me, Jiwon said quietly. Like perhaps we both deserve a second opportunity. Like perhaps the universe placed you in that restaurant at 2 in the morning for a reason. That's not how the universe works, is it? He smiled slightly. You're still here. You haven't taken the money and departed. You're considering it, aren't you? And God forgive her, she was. Maya stayed. Not forever, not yet. But for that night, then another night. Then a week. Jiwon kept his word. He provided space, her own chamber, no pressure. But he also provided safety, comfort, and something she'd forgotten existed, kindness. He arranged for her belongings to be retrieved from her former apartment. He settled the lease so she wouldn't owe anything. He even acquired her a new phone when she admitted Chidi had been tracking her previous one. Why are you doing all this? Maya asked one evening over dinner. Jiwon had cooked, surprisingly domestic for someone in organized crime. Because I can, he said simply. Because you deserve it. Because he set down his chopsticks. Because when I look at you, I don't see a victim. I see a survivor. Someone strong enough to endure hell and still seek escape. That's rare. That's valuable. That's worth protecting. I'm not some prize to collect. No, you're a person who deserves peace, and I'm someone who can provide that if you permit me. Over the following month, something shifted between them. It wasn't romance, not yet, but it was connection, understanding, trust. Jiwon told her more about his sister, about the guilt that propelled him. Maya told him about her family back home in Lagos, about the dreams she'd harbored before Chidi destroyed them. You wanted to be an artist, Jiwon said one evening after she'd mentioned it casually. That was long ago. Was it? Or did someone simply convince you to abandon it? He looked at her intently. What if you didn't have to abandon it? What if you could have that dream again? 2 days later, an entire art studio materialized in one of the penthouse's spare rooms. Easels, paints, canvases, everything professional grade. Maya had wept. Jiwon had simply shrugged and said, use it or don't. But the option exists. She used it. And slowly, week by week, Maya began to heal. The bruises faded. The fear diminished. The constant tension in her shoulders eased. She began to feel safe. And somewhere in that safety, she began to feel something else for the dangerous man who'd saved her. 3 months after that evening outside the restaurant, Jiwon took Maya to dinner at an exclusive rooftop establishment, the kind requiring reservations months ahead and costing more than her former monthly rent. You're different, he observed over wine. Lighter, happier. I am happy, Maya admitted. For the first time in years, I'm painting again. I'm not afraid. She paused. I'm living. Truly living. Thank you. Don't thank me. You did the difficult part, surviving. I just removed the obstacles. You did more than that. Maya took a breath, gathering courage. Jiwon, what are we doing? This living arrangement, the protection, the whatever this is between us. What is it? Jiwon set down his glass. What do you want it to be? I don't know. But I know I don't want to leave. I know that when you're in a room, I feel safer than anywhere else. I know that you've become, she struggled with the word, important to me. And I don't know what to do with that. You could accept it, Jiwon said quietly. Accept that perhaps 2 damaged people found something genuine in the chaos. Accept that I'm not going to hurt you ever. Accept that what began as protection has become something more for both of us. You feel it too? Every day. He reached across the table, taking her hand. I told myself I was simply protecting you, just keeping you safe because I failed my sister. But that's a lie. I'm keeping you because I'm selfish. Because you make this dark world bearable. Because when I come home and you're there painting or reading or simply existing in my space, I feel like perhaps I'm not entirely a monster. You're not a monster. I am, Jiwon corrected gently. I've done terrible things. I will do terrible things again. That's who I am. But with you, he squeezed her hand. With you, I remember there's more to life than power and revenge. You make me want to be better, even if I can't fully achieve it. Maya's eyes filled with tears. That's the most romantic and terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me. That's because it's true. He pulled out a small box from his pocket. Inside was a key. Golden, ornate, beautiful. What is this? A beach house 2 hours from Seoul. Private, secure, with a studio facing the ocean. It's yours. Whether you stay with me or not, it's yours. A place that's safe, that's peaceful, that's yours alone. Maya stared at the key, overwhelmed. Jiwon, you don't have to decide tonight. But I want you to know you have options. You have freedom. You have safety. And if you want, he met her eyes, vulnerable for the first time. You have me. All of me, darkness and all, if you'll accept it. Maya looked at this man, this dangerous, powerful, broken man who'd saved her life and given her back herself. This man who'd become home. I already decided, she said softly. Weeks ago. I'm staying with you. Not because I'm afraid to leave, but because I don't want to. You're not a monster, Jiwon. You're the man who gave me my life back. And she took a shaky breath. I think I'm falling in love with you. Jiwon's control shattered. He stood, pulled her up, and kissed her with desperate intensity. Months of restraint and longing finally released. You're mine, he breathed against her lips. I'm yours, Maya agreed. And you're mine. Broken pieces and all. The best pieces, Jiwon said, pulling her closer. Forever. And in his arms, Maya finally understood what safety truly meant. Not the absence of danger, but the presence of someone who would incinerate the world before allowing harm to reach you. She'd walked into a restaurant with bruises and fear. She'd walked out with a dangerous man's devotion and a future full of possibilities. And by morning, every threat had been eliminated, exactly as he promised. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this. See you in the next one.